There's this idea that you're ill at ease with the media, but in about an hour of conversation with you, I don't get that feeling at all. So where could this misunderstanding have come from?
I think there are degrees of media aggression against individuals where they simply refuse to engage in whatever message the individual is trying to put forward, and instead just heap abuse on them and take no mind whatsoever to what they're trying to put forward. And I must say I find that disappointing, shall we say. More than disappointing, because actually it demeans the whole political debate and it demeans everything that we believe in. If somebody is saying there is a difference, it's always this business of throwing labels at people rather than meeting the issue they're doing. So if we're sort of saying, well, actually there is a different way of running the economy which isn't based on cutting all public services, which is actually based on expanding the economy and spending more on public services, instead of dealing with that issue, any person that puts that forward is down dangerous radical, extremist, ultra-leftist, Marxist, Leninist, revolutionary, Bolshevik, anything you want to say, without ever understanding what any of those phrases may actually mean. And I find that very sad and very depressing. And it's also, we live in an age of celebrity and personality rather than ideas and causes. And so when great changes in Britain happened, such as the National Health Service after the Second World War, that was campaigning by a lot of people for a long time, of pointing out that quite simply, if you cared for everybody's health, everybody would be in better health, but it would also be a fundamental right, and that was achieved. That was by debate. These days, we're told that somehow or other, marketization, cutting, destroying, free market solutions, trickle-down theory of economics is somehow or other a good thing. And we extol the virtues of those that are very, very rich and say they're successful because they're very, very rich, rather than saying people are successful because they all contribute together to achieve the collective good of all. So those that are super rich are put on a pedestal because they're super rich. Those that contribute to society in the way that most of us want to are marked down as either idealists or failures or something much, much worse in the case of many people that I know. So I wish just our media would recognize that some people are actually looking for something a bit more thoughtful than just the plastic images of the super rich and calling them successful.
But the trouble with the media is that they are the ones, well, not entirely, they're kind of like the intermediary, largely, between what it is that you want to say and what it is that you want to get across to the people. So we have this intermediary, as it were, that's not playing fair, while appearing to play fair, and at the same time sometimes indulges in this demonization. The question is, how do you deal with it? Because you have to deal with it.
Well, sometimes some of our media take themselves a bit too seriously, because if you look at the great national newspapers of this country, most of them have falling circulations, most of them have falling readerships, and some of them are now retreating behind a paywall on the internet. And the reality is that most people actually get their information from either quick things on television or from social media. Particularly anyone under 40 relies very heavily on social media for their information. Social media is a great way of reaching out to people. It can be a great way of mobilizing large numbers of people. It's not always the best place to do quite serious debate because it's also so short-term and so instant. But the technology that we've now got is so amazing that you can actually reach massive numbers of people very, very quickly in a way that was unheard of 20 years ago, 40 years ago, 100 years ago. And you have to sort of think with admiration of those people who, in the 18th and 19th century, brought about such massive political changes in Britain by travelling from town to town to explain to people, many of whom were illiterate, what a different idea was, why the slave trade was evil, why the slave trade had to be ended, why the Corn Laws were such an important issue. All those huge issues of the 19th century were all achieved by people in an oral tradition. We later came on to the mass newspaper tradition, and when I first became active in politics as a teenager, my proudest possession was a hand Gestetner duplicator in my bedroom, and so I could turn the handle and turn out well, if I stayed up all night, I could probably turn out a couple of thousand leaflets, and I was very proud of myself. These days, you can reach 500,000 people in 10 seconds on Twitter or the internet. And even if they don't all read it, you've still reached a few 100,000 people. It's that massive ability to communicate that actually bypasses a lot of the rather arrogant sense of directing public debate that is there in some of the broadsheet newspapers or some of the radio or TV stations. So in every country, things are changing very, very fast. And I think that's very, very exciting. And it means that more people are open to more ideas and more imagination than they ever would have been before. So I think embrace that technology. Embrace it. It's there. That's what it's for.